Hey there, Toxic Man Babies. I am the Goblin King, and I welcome you back to another curated pop culture video, where I take the top 5 stories from the week that interest me, one from each day, and make a general ass out of myself while commenting on these stories. This week, we have the specter of a comic book icon, the well-deserved roasting of a fake geek urinalist, a giant baby, proof that everything woke turns to shit, and a legendary cryptid only spoken of in myth and folklore from ancient times. A based psych professor. All from This Week in Pop Culture. We had a pretty full week, folks, so it was actually rather difficult to choose which story I was going to cover on a given day. Once again, though, as always, I tended to go to the source of a particular story. I couldn't always find said source. So there are a couple of bounding into comics articles in here. A couple of them were also covered by other channels such as Yellow Flash, Clownfish TV, and The Quartering. Friday's story, though, is definitely all mine. So without further procrastination, let's get into this. The first story for the week comes to us from Bounding, and it's talking about a recently resurfaced interview with Jerry Siegel, who, as I'm sure most of you know, was one of the creators of Superman along with Joe Shuster. Posted by comic book historians on their Fakebook page, the interview is a BBC4 interview from the 1980s, and Jerry Siegel talks a bit about how he feels Superman stands for truth, justice, and the American way. You can hear that right now.
And gave rise to Hitler should have been innocently appropriated by two young Jewish boys from Cleveland, Ohio.
Right around that time, the world was in pretty bad shape, and as you know, right now it's not in such wonderful shape either. But back in those days, there was Nazism was rising up, and a lot of innocent people were being killed, and countries were being invaded. A lot of innocents slaughtered. And I felt that the world desperately needed a crusader, if only a fictional one.
And so what could you say that you felt that Superman stood for, or stands for?
Well, exactly the motto that they've used on the television show: truth, justice, and the American way. A very clean-cut guy who could rule the world and is all-powerful, but instead he uses his powers to aid the helpless and the deserving rather than to exploit them.
So clearly, DC is once again shafting the original creators of Superman with their switch of his motto from the American way to a better tomorrow, which is just DC retreading already familiar ground. The second story regards a pop culture urinalist over at Complex and his hot take. His hot take was so hot, in fact, that he wound up getting roasted in the backlash. As you can see here, he stated that America Chavez was going to be the MCU's first Hispanic hero. I'm sure I'm not the only one sick of all these shallow firsts. Focusing on someone's race or ethnicity is not only shallow, but racist. That's not an opinion, that's an objective truth. That being said, Twatter roasted him for being unabashedly wrong. When someone pointed out that Zoe Saldana has been in the MCU since 2014, he stated, Gamora is an alien, which apparently doesn't count. People then decided to point out the literal fact that America Chavez is also an alien from another dimension. It appears he seems to have been ignoring those, since they don't fit in with his narrative. Also, anyone paying attention to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as long as I did knows that Robbie Reyes was featured in that show. Though, I guess S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't part of the MCU at that point? I don't know. I think the real takeaway here, though, that we can all be thankful for is that he didn't use the racial slur Latinx, or Latinx, or whatever the fuck that is. The next story is about a giant baby. Whoops, not that one. There's the one. A few other channels covered this turd sandwich already, but this is my channel, so you're going to get my take. So, over New Year's Eve, Patton did a set with Dave Chappelle, and decided to end out the year by posting that to his Instagram. Fair enough. When he started getting backlash from the quote-unquote trans community over the post, he decided to throw his friend under the bus with some lame-ass apology letter that basically called Dave Chappelle a phobe. Yes, I said friend because, by his own admission, Dave Chappelle has been Oswald's friend for 34 years. 34 years. I had a friend once for 26 years. Literally from the time we were infants. Her mom and my mom were friends before we were even born. So I know the kind of loyalty that kind of friendship buys, and what has to be done to destroy it. No, I'm not getting into that. Patton Oswalt tossed his friend of 34 years under the bus to placate a bunch of screaming strangers online. That's truly fucking pathetic, and truly fucking despicable.
Hey, Oswald, bitch, she's a big fat bitch, she's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a stupid bitch, and everyone's a bitch, she's a bitch to all the boys and girls.
The next story is good news. After nearly 2 decades of failure, the CW might finally be going the way of the dodo. According to this article, Viacom, CBS, and Warner Media are looking for buyers for the defunct network. It doesn't really say what's going to happen if these two companies can't find a buyer for the network. If they can, however, it may be that certain shitty shows may finally be getting their well-deserved cancellations. Poor, sad Batwomen. Many other people are pointing out the irony that what really killed off the CW is the exact same thing that Warner Brothers is now trying to do with the DCEU, or the DSHEEU. Oh well, much like with Cowboy Bebop, their sad day is our happy one. Let it burn. Our last story of the week is about a unicorn, something I personally never thought I'd see in this day and age. A based psychology professor. And why am I covering a psychologist, based or not, on a pop culture segment, you may ask? Well, my dear viewer, this particular based individual wrote an essay regarding Paizo's, and to a lesser extent D&D's, more recent moves in the tabletop wokening. In the essay, this professor, Christopher J. Ferguson, calls into question Paizo's recent move to remove all reference to slavery from their products, mainly at the behest of one outraged individual. I covered this dumbassery in both my weekly rant number 13 and This Week in Pop Culture for December 20th. Check them out if you feel like. The rant was particularly epic in my own humble opinion. I might be biased though. Now, the bounding article on this breaks down the professor's essay pretty well. Though I did read the actual essay, I promise. What he's basically stating is that slavery is a human institution, and to cover that up, or shy away from it, or to ignore it by erasing its existence, rather than confronting these ugly things, could be doing more harm than good. He comes at this issue by tackling two of the more prominent arguments in favor of the changes RPG companies have been making in recent years. Firstly, the "you don't have to include the changes in your games" argument is a weak-ass argument because you could have not included slavery in your games. Nooch. The second, which he claims is more valid, I disagree, but that's my thing, is the whole "if the content upsets some people, what's the harm in removing it" argument, which he comes out with two thoughts. Those being, do the people advocating for the change represent a consensus in their particular demographic, and is there any evidence to support that removing the offending material actually helps? Which, in turn, leads to the whole avoiding versus confronting argument. The professor then cites materials which seem to confirm that the idea of avoiding actually worsens anxiety and neuroses. As well, giving into this sort of behavior actually creates a cyclical effect which awards and furthers outrage culture. In effect, the professor is arguing that these tabletop companies, and by extension any of these companies that feed into this behavior, are doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing. Especially since these behaviors, which are supposedly so problematic, aren't actually causing any real-world harm. And that's it. Alright, so that's all I've got for you this week, folks. As always, I encourage you to check out these stories for yourself. I think I'll leave a link for the essay in the description box down there. Give it a read, it was pretty good. As well, the stories you can generally do a search for if you want more info. I always include the headline and site. So, speaking of things down below, there's a nice comment section down there. Let me know what you think. While you're down there, don't forget to smash those like and subscribe buttons. It makes me happy. I believe I've worked up enough outrage over things to do a rant tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Lates.